Welcome to the podcast where sustainability gets real. I'm Alan Stenson, I'm your host, and in each episode we uncover the people, ideas and actions driving the journey to net zero. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Emission Possible, the podcast where we explore how real leaders are driving real change. Today's guest is someone who's transforming what leadership looks like in the built environment. Claire Curran is the Managing Director of Linaker, one of the fastest growing FM companies in the UK, and also elected President of BISA, only the third woman to hold that position in its 120-year history. So that's absolutely fantastic. She's built a business that's scaling rapidly, but is also staying values driven with a real focus on people, culture and sustainability. Claire, it's absolutely brilliant to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Alan. It's lovely to be here.
Well, we're going to jump straight into it. In terms of your journey, I mean, it'd be great for you to share some of your history and, you going from operations to leading Linaker as the MD, the growth that you've driven, taking the business from 8 million to over 60 million. What does that look like? And maybe just share a little bit around how that's been for you.
So I think I need to go back a little bit and just say it's actually my 26th year operating in industry. So I might say I look younger than that. Maybe that's not true. My 26th year operating in industry, and I have pretty much operated in every facet there is of FM, from selling it to financing it to operating it all the way through, and generally for a very long period in quite large UK corporates. That was Rentokil Initial back in the day. Some of those views. So my history goes back, and probably more than I'd want to sit here and talk about because I get quite embarrassed. But my journey into Linaker was one of I've been working for Kia Construction. I did a bit of construction at the end of my corporate career. And I wanted to put my money where my mouth was. I never wanted to come into Linaker and just be the MD or the operator of it. I always wanted to own it, which I'm privileged enough now to own a little bit, which is quite nice. But I wanted to prove that I could do it, and I suppose I wanted to prove that I could do it against some norms. And in that journey, I've certainly, my first ambition is to sit in a boardroom. I can remember sitting in Rentokil Initial's office in Castlegate and Dudley, looking into the boardroom where all the big people were sitting, and thinking, what would it be like to be in there? And now I sit in there and think, everybody knows everything out there and we need to learn it in here. So I learned quite early on that titles were very much less important than people. People are, especially in a service business, it's maybe not so much impactful in a product business, but in a service business, people are the asset, they're the value, they're the motivator, they're the collaborator, they are the innovator, they're all of those things that will drive your business forward. That hive mind is much more valuable than just one leader sat at the top of the tree. So scaling Linaker has been full of really tough decisions. I'm not gonna tell fibs, it's been tough. But more so creating places where people thrive. And along that scaling journey, that place where people thrive has changed. We operated in the first instance out of lovingly small offices in quite remote locations that were, and now we have an 82-seater call centre based in Haydock that's purpose refurb for what we use it for. But it is about those conditions. And as far as getting involved in industry, which is the BISA part, for me, you can't expect to change industry without having a voice in industry, taking part in it, actually being active in it. And that isn't just owning and running your own business and growing and investing in people. It's investing in what industry should be doing and doing the right thing when no one's watching. Is another big thing. So hence our partnership together. We were quite early adapters of that partnership with you guys. And now we've just taken the BISA pledge to make all of our members BISA members because they go through the CAS audit. And that means they're assessed as competent, physically assessed as competent, not just pre-qualified on a desk activity. So it's about doing that right thing. But more than anything, for me, it's definitely bringing your authentic self. it's been really hard on my journey through my career to realise that being me adds value. I think what's really important on the journey is being your authentic self. Something I've definitely struggled with learning as a leader in those nurturing years is trying to emulate someone else's leadership value and styles is exceptionally difficult. It means that there's a trust disjoint between people communicating with you. So you've almost got to be willing to put yourself out there, hooks and crooks, all of yourself out there, and really put yourself on the line to say, this is who I am, this is what I believe in, this is my vision, and also give people who are working with you the ability to bring their authentic selves to work as well, and really bring their vision and their purpose, because obviously a business isn't made up of one leader. Hopefully you have a host of leaders, and the more that you have, wherever they are on that journey, the better off you're going to be.
Absolutely. And I think it gives people the confidence, when people can see that they have a value and they have something to provide and something to offer. It's that in itself gives confidence and helps to improve that level of success, because people start to remove that sort of imposter syndrome. I know we talked about this before, but it's so easily done. Everyone suffers from that, and it's difficult to get over. But if you can remind yourself that what you're achieving is because you're making it happen, then suddenly that's confidence inspiring, and I think ultimately that's going to lead to to more confidence and more success.
Yeah, I think the perception. I mean, I think that part about the imposter syndrome is really interesting, because it's only. I can't believe we're here talking, Alan, and you're interested, if I'm honest with you, because I just get up out of bed every day, and I have built a unique task list that I'm ChatGPTing and I'm co-piloting, and I'm going off. I spend more time talking to ChatGPT and Copilot these days than I do anybody else. I must look like a madwoman wandering around the city. But actually, it's really interesting that other people find it interesting, because for me, it's such a personal thing. I have a vision. I'm trying to, and I aren't really too fussed about what other people are doing. I think that's a distraction. I'm more of am I doing better this month than I was doing last month? And better is an interesting thing, because when I say better, is our retention better? Are we, is our profitability better? Is our quality scoring better? Is our compliance scoring better? So those key matrices is what I'm sitting there, almost valuing myself on, not realising that other people from the outside are looking and going, God, she's doing a really great job. So I get I find it quite embarrassing. It's really funny.
Yeah, but it's focusing in on the important aspects, and not allowing the things that you can't control and the things that aren't, arguably anywhere near as important to not distract you. So I think that's great. But I wanted to also touch on your new appointment as vice president, and I can't believe it, but you only the third female lead in 120 years. I mean, what has that experience taught you about leadership, meritocracy, changing perceptions in the sector, all of that?
I think Visa, I've actually just finished my term, so I'm now immediate past president, which is quite interesting.
Okay.
But it's really nice to talk about it now, because I've just done that stint. And actually I've been sat on Visa's board. I think I'm coming up for 5.5 years. So it's been quite a journey to take that president's seat. It's quite a cycle. And the exposure to Visa has given me so much, because it allowed me to stop valley grazing. So I talked about that internal focus, just that need to make sure that I'm just scoring against myself, scoring the business against itself, not really being distracted by its competitors. But also, what's been really interesting from Bee's perspective is hearing what's going on in the wider community. So what are the trends in industry? What's going to come and smack me in the face that I didn't know? Because you don't know what you didn't know. Do you know what I mean? That's been quite interesting. And from a leadership perspective, knowing that the things that I'm doing in my business aren't necessarily the things that other people are doing in their businesses, you realise that one size does not fit all. It's not whether it's a matrix organisation, you're managing this way. Having an MBA, if I applied what I learned in my MBA to Linaker business, I would have taken it completely the wrong direction, because each business has its own personality. But as a third female, I have never felt so embraced by industry. And I actually think trade associations are really underrated in terms of learning entitlement. You know, I have access to the Bank of England's position when it comes to trading. I get to understand the unionised agreement. I've been part of creating occupational standards for new apprentices. I was part of the Children's Clean Bill for clean air in schools. So you get, and those things are the things that I'm probably the proudest of, because they are actually not just affecting me, they're affecting my children's children. So it's the things that you get to be involved in, and then you realise that how you can take some of those strategies and implement them into your own business to create a purpose. And I think it's really interesting that after I'd done my learnings with Visa, the business became less about its mission to become the best, you know, hard services contractor in the country. We changed our purpose to, you know, creating positive partnerships with our clients, our people and the planet. And it really focused my energy on profit as just a result of a job really well done. And that job really well done starts with your people, then they make your clients really happy, and then you invest in planets, planting trees and stuff like that, which is really feel good. And then at the end of it, you make a decent profit, which we then play profit related pay to our employees and start that cycle all over again. Yeah. So we finally got to that point as a business where everybody is aligned on the same journey. And when that happens, that's when you end up with, you know, people talk a lot about Linaker Fest and the culture of Linaker. And when we invite people along to it, they're almost surprised by how engaged our teams are. And that's a lot to do with the fact that, you know, we talk about our objectives and our purpose all of the time. We do roadshows, brewing a butty, pieing a pint. You know, we keep it specific to our business and to the way our business feels. And it really is our business. That's the part. It's our purpose and our business.
I think it really comes across, because I know obviously we've been involved with you guys for Linaker Fest and 300 million planting events. I mean, I can genuinely say Stuck in the Field with you guys was a proper laugh, but the culture of the team, yeah, well, exactly right, and the culture of everyone and the camaraderie, and it was just a lot of fun. Everyone was supporting each other, and it was really nice to see. So it's clearly working. I mean, obviously that sort of purpose, that as a you know, specific thing that you want to do and cultivate is genuinely working and helping, and that in turn is, as you said, is going to help the growth and the performance of the business, full stop, because everyone's benefiting from it. So it's a really nice position to be in. I mean, you've built that culture of trust, that internal mobility and shared ownership. I think I saw the stats with like 96% of your team trusts their senior leaders. You have an internal promotion level sitting at something like 31%. Yeah. How have you been able to maintain that, particularly as the business really grows and scales?
So I think we have not been scared of change. I think is the biggest criteria. I'd certainly put Linaker as a positive change business, and that comes from communicating with our teams on a really open basis. So we're very good at going out to our teams and saying, this is the change that's happening, this is the impact that's going to come from that change, and this is what you can expect to see. So once you've done that process 2 or 3 times, the team members then, when you go and say, right guys, there's a change coming, and they aren't then sitting there going, oh my God, can I trust you? They're actually sitting there, you've done this a couple of times, you've delivered what you say you're going to, it's had results like you say it's going to, so I can trust what you're going to say. And that positive change culture has meant that we can continually improve multiple things at the same time in the business. So each one of the SLT has a department and function, and they are completely accountable for that function within the business. So Vicky Morris in people, she has a load of change advisory boards which sit there upgrading her HRIS system. She understands her budget, she takes accountability for that budget, and she can really drive through that change. And actually, there's things going on in the business that I don't know about, Alan, that I did when it was smaller, if that because there's positive change happening all the time. But the amount of money that we've invested in Linaker over the past, just in IT infrastructures alone, this year is significant. Because we have that first principle of, you know, we make great profits, so therefore we can invest back into service delivery, and that we go round that circle.
And on that, I mean, you guys have really embraced AI, Power BI, telematics, the customer systems to improve first-time fixed rates and reduce your carbon footprint.
Yep.
Can you unpack how you've developed that approach and why it's, in your opinion, critical to sustainable operations?
I think if you look at industry, I mean, 120 years ago, the first BESA meeting that happened in industry, they talked about resourcing level, staffing payments, and profitability, right? And guess what? 120 years later, we're still talking about resource level, staffing requirement, and profitability. And actually, with us, we make okay profits. We're doing okay. And we are growing phenomenally well, 44% last year, on track for 60 odd this year. And, we're doing some great things. But actually, our biggest challenge is resourcing. And mainly because if you look at the engineering resource set, 26% of the engineers across the country are retiring this year. They're in retirement
Right.
age. 11% of school leavers are going into STEM as an overall category, never mind into maintenance engineering. So I recognised really early on in the journey with Linaker that my biggest challenge in scaling was always going to be about how I made my resource more productive and kept them happy at the same time. So not working you like a dog. How do I make it so that you are happy in your role and productive in your role? I can schedule you well. I can get you to a job productively. When you're on site, you've got the right tools in your hand. You've got your right discipline to visit that job. I mean, we handle around 220,000 calls on our help desk a year now reactively.
Wow.
It's big stuff. And to do that type of volume, we need to be able to act in a really productive manner. We didn't want to be a residential, we do some residential engineers, but we didn't want to just be a residential engineering company based in London. We want the stuff that no one else wants. We're great at mobile engineering, and I'm very proud of that. I love the Swish buildings. I'd like to work in the Shard, but I'm very happy out on the retail parks with our retail clients, representing really great blue chip corporate clients. And to do that, that means we need to be productive. So we need to employ technology. So in that same view as where we've departmentalised our continuous improvement to make sure that everyone is not just responsible for BAU, but for driving their department forward. In there, every single time we come to board, there's something else we could work on with technology, automation, systemisation, modernisation, process development. And we actually have 144 of them that we're working on in the business today. Across
Wow.
that, because there's no point in improving just one department in the business. You've got to make all of them improve all at the same time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, one just becomes really fast and the other one's really slow, and
Yeah.
they kangaroo.
Which in itself causes problems. Yeah.
It's like being in a bumpy car of acceleration. So we
Yeah.
have to raise the bar all at the same time, which is actually a lot more difficult than I'm making it sound. But yeah, we love a bit of tech. I mean, at the moment we're doing some fabulous things with AI on our help desk, which is quite cool. We're going to be the first company to move to AI agents help desk. So you'll log on to our help desk and it will say, what can I do for you today? You'll type in a question and it will answer the question. No more
Yeah.
dashboard,
Brilliant.
no more donuts, no more reporting features, just a simple chat GPT's type. What do our clients want? What's the answer they're looking for? Tell the system what you want and it will give you the answer and then
Yeah.
manipulate the
Brilliant.
feature that you want it to. So it's been a journey, but I have some really exciting things in the pipeline that I can't wait to talk. I can't talk to you about, but I can't wait to talk to industry about, because there's some stuff that we're getting to the point where our data is that rich that we're going to be able to do some really cool stuff.
Yeah, fabulous, and that's what drives innovation and change and makes things better. So that's exciting. Yeah, fantastic. In terms of I mean, we talked about before skills and the skills gap and the next generation, and you've pushed for expanding apprenticeships beyond just engineering and into marketing and finance and tech and more. And you've also spoken about the skills gap in industry. How do you think firms should, particularly in FM, adapt to attract and cultivate the right diverse talent?
I think what we've got to stop doing is we've got to stop damning our own industry like it's really uninteresting. I mean, I have held board meetings at Canary Wharf Tower 1. You know, it's been fabulous. I've stood on some amazing buildings in London, seen the best views. I once sat in the Alan Overy building when I was working there and watched the fireworks on New Year's Eve as a privilege of
Right.
FMA. So I think we have to stop talking about it like we're a poor sister of the construction industry. We're really
Yeah.
not. I also think we have to look at the view of there isn't just opportunities to be an engineer or a cleaner. I know we don't do soft services, but wider industry stuff. It's not just about the doing. The doing is absolutely important, but to create career progression, we need to focus on the ancillary, the supplementary services, you know, the help desk, the management, the HR, the marketing. There's loads of different job types in FM that are still exciting and fun and quite complex business models for other people to learn on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went down the route of apprenticeships are quite hard in Linaker because we're a mobile engineering business. So if someone doesn't drive as a younger individual, we have to buddy them up. Then you've got to have a faithful buddying up partner. So they can be quite challenging. We have some of them, but they're quite challenging apprenticeships, not like an installation on a site. But we still wanted as a business to invest in our teams. And one of the hotbeds for that is really the help desk for us. So people starting entry level in their career, wanting to progress, not really understanding where they want to go yet, what they want to be when they grow up. Astronaut for me, by the way, Alan. That's where I'm aiming for. So, you know, they don't really know. And actually what we try and do is open up and say, this is all the different facets of the business. Which one are you interested in? Where do you want to sit and create those career paths? And we've found quite huge success in taking that approach. We've also just gone into collaboration with one of our clients, KFC, on putting apprentices into their sites as well for them to learn building maintenance as one of their tasks and doing some of that cross fertilisation. So I think there's loads of different ways to look at apprentices, and sometimes we're far too close-minded as an industry.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's the way to, embrace the talent that we have and attract more talent. And you're quite right. I think there's a misconception as to what it's actually like, and I think the opportunities are vast. So yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. In terms of from a sustainability standpoint, I know we work with you guys, which has been a pleasure. As a business, you've been incredibly proactive, but we're starting to see those results now. 44% reduction in carbon footprint per £1 million of revenue, even as the business itself grew 46%. How was that sort of balance achieved, and what did it teach you in terms of scaling sustainability?
I go back to as soon as we became a more purpose-led business, because we've always had principles of trust, but as soon as we became a more purpose-led business and we focused on that planet part, once we instilled in it's something we do every day, actually, I'm gonna say something controversial here, but achieving 44% reduction wasn't hard, because it comes from lots of different avenues of making small improvements all over the place. And that isn't done mindfully around CSR or carbon neutral or social responsibility. It isn't a robotical mode. It's actually that every decision we make, we consider it. Just as the norm, we're gonna purchase 10 vans. Should we be doing hybrids? Are they going onto a site? Could we do electric tuk-tuks? We're doing that constant look at every decision has that angle ensued in it, just like it has commerciality or financials or operability. It also has sustainability in it.
100%, and the most successful outcomes happen when it's integrated into the fabric of the business. It becomes part of how you operate, part of every decision that gets made. Procurement isn't just on price; it's price and impact. Is this the right choice for me? Is this going to help or hinder my journey to net zero? And it's that level and thirst for understanding and data and information is, I think, what's driving the success for you guys. I mean, also the fact that you've genuinely embraced the aspect that's the biggest part of your footprint, but the bit that you have the least amount of control over. So, your supply chain.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And enabling suppliers to have the ability to give you the information that you need from them, but do it in a way that means that it works for them. It isn't just another tick box. So I've got to do this other thing. It's something that genuinely drives value, improves their standing with you as an organization, and helps you in a collaborative manner to get to where you need to get to, and that way everyone wins from that scenario. You know that you're going to want to do more business with that supplier because they're actually helping you get to where you need to get to because of the support they've given.
I think again, I think it's really circular. I am not a big believer in it's them and us. We do certain services, and we manage help desks really well, and we manage volume really well, and we want to work with our supply chain partners, and they are partners. And I'm reading a lot on LinkedIn about how family's creepy. When you say we're a family, it's kind of culty, but actually we're a family-owned business. We're privately owned. We sit there. I have close relationship with my team members, and they have close relationships with their team members. And we have close relationships with our subcontractors. They want to come on the journey with us. They're growing with us. We're growing with them in some instances. It's really reciprocal. And actually, it's the reason why at the company event, we invite our clients. We want to impress them, but we invite our subcontractor partners as well. That we want them to feel part of our journey. And yes, sometimes we have hard discussions where we say we're going to insource this and we're going to start self-delivering it because that's better for us. But also there's some absolute items where we go, this is a specialism and needs to be handled by someone who has a critical mass. And that, I think it's about knowing where your strengths and weaknesses are. And that's something the business is. I love working with other business owners who are as passionate as. That's why I love you guys. You're utterly passionate about your business, almost incessantly so, and I want that in other supply chain partners. And we actively look for people who are wanting to grow and prosper, wanting to move their service delivery forward, wanting to be more sustainable, want a better culture. Those things are really important with creating, because profitability only comes from those things being done well in our ethos.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. In terms of where you see Linaker being able to influence, ESG leadership across the built environment, what does that look like for you guys?
So our viewpoint is there's quite a large part for us to do around. SFG20 has a part of their standard which is visual check and inspection. About 40% of the standard is that way. That means that we incur a very large carbon footprint doing a lot of that visual check and inspection work that's often statutory in its nature, so it has to be done for insurance purposes. So we are currently looking towards technology to help us reduce that footprint whilst ensuring our clients are sustainable. And I think that's important for us because we don't look after, in general, the very large buildings that have complex BMS, building controls, that you can backpack off and put Raspberry Pis onto and all this IoT technology. The type of buildings we look after generally are quite low skill engineering buildings en masse. We have about 4,500 sites nationally that we now look after on that, guys. So for us, the best way for us to impact sustainability is more about how do we get everyday engineering kit and service it in a more carbon conscious manner. And that is absolutely something we're striving for at the moment with the tech that we've got. So our viewpoint is it doesn't have to be fancy for it to be smart. Does that make sense? It's a sentence I keep using all the time. This is not about smart buildings, it's about non-smart buildings doing things that are really good for the environment.
Yeah, absolutely. And that all comes from, as you said, understanding the impact of that. A lot of traditional methods happen because that's how they've always happened, and there could be a different way of doing that. And it's not about restricting, it's not about stopping things happening. It's about understanding the impact of it, and can that be done in a way that has a lower impact, and therefore you still have the result, you still have the productivity, you still get what you need to get, but you're just doing that consciously and understanding. And you're right, it doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be fancy, it just needs to work, and it needs to deliver a lower impact.
Simply, we did an innovation with one of our clients where they had a load of electronic signage, and we installed solar panels on the back of that electronic signage so that we didn't have to maintain their electrics, we didn't have to dig up car parks when they failed. And actually, the maintenance, it actually was of detriment to us to install them because the maintenance is a lot lower level. However, for the client, it returned great energy savings, and it wasn't something that you had to display a dashboard for, put wings and dings on it. I just really believe in practical solutions that create impact. And if everybody sticks to that methodology around sustainability, around innovation, we get absolutely results that we can talk about and feel tangible. You know, your 44% reduction for £1,000,000, you can get those types of results where you can measure them if you haven't got something that's incredibly complex. And I think we have a problem in industry of making things a dark art. You know, we want to make it complex so that it feels like there's lots going on, when actually we're just, we're asking a BMS to do its job and tell us what's happening in the building, but we're applying loads of smart activities. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, and there's the more barriers to entry that you can remove, the more it can be done simply. The implementation is going to clearly be far more, far more, because it's, if the easier it is, the more likely it's going to be to get it done. So yeah, that's fantastic. So with that in mind, I mean, as the industry itself is grappling with ever evolving regulation, different standards, different things to have to achieve, and sustainability plays a major part of that. The greater levels of expectation. How do you see FM transforming over the next sort of 5 to 10 years, and also what role should associations like BESA play in that?
I think the industry is, here's the thing, is a boiler is a boiler is a boiler. Sites need to be cleaned, windows need to be cleaned, catering needs to happen, reception service needs delivering. All of that is stuff that's, some of it could be taken by AI. You can have a receptionist stand there if you really want to, that's a screen. I'm not sure that's a choice that we'll make. I think we have to, it's like offboarding your help desk to somewhere else. I think it's a choice that you make between connecting with your customers or cost value, and different companies have different values, and that's absolutely fine. FM is always going to be here. The built environment is an exceptionally exciting sector where, for young people coming into industry, they can make the biggest impacts around sustainability in the built environment sector. There's always going to be buildings. We're always going to need places to live, places to work, places to have fun. Do I think the scape of those buildings is going to change? Do I think we're going to see a fall in commercial officing, a rise in residential? And you're already seeing a rise in entertainment and hospitality merging. Think about how many traditional pubs there are now to how many you play darts at, or ping pong, or shuffleboard. We want to be entertained as a business. I also think there's going to be a workplace shift into making work more fun. I think the generation they're in want work to be more fun. So I think we're going to have to look at innovative ways that we can engage a different type of workforce. I think there's going to be changes in work shift patterns. I think people are going to reach for that 4-day week and more balance. It's going to be interesting in the doers community, because I'm not so sure we'll want all of our shops shut for 3 days, or our hospitals on the salads and staff. So again, FM's going to struggle with that balance change when it brings about incoming people. I think the other thing is we've got a lot of processes. We're in that era of data and processing, and moving towards AI integration. And I think you're going to see us stop being the processors, letting AI be in the processors, and we're going to start to become the interrogators and the thinkers. And I think that's going to create some really exciting career opportunities in the FM space for those people who are learning that space. So no longer will we be doing lots of help desk operating, but we'll be doing exception reporting to work out why it didn't work, what we could do better next. I think we're going to move into that continuous improvement loop that would be very healthy for us. So yeah, I think there isn't a much more exciting time to be in industry, and I think from a learning and collaboration viewpoint that trade associations like BESA, which is a place where industry comes together for industry, rather than a professional membership body that's about educating industry, so it has a real different core purpose. I think that will give the ability for people to access real understanding of what other people are doing in the business and what's happening in industry and what the impacts are. And that's been a massive benefit to me. So I can't scream loud enough about Linaker's involvement with BESA being part of our trajectory for growth. It's been quite a large standard point of us learning how other people are doing it, what's going to come and hit us in the face, what regulation changes, what actual changes come. It's been really important to us as a business.
I love that. Yeah, and I think it's so important to have. I think having that as a, as an asset is key. And the trade associations that are supporting members of the industry to learn from the industry, that's what it's key, because we're all in that situation where every business is different, every business has its own requirements and unique aspirations and so on, and they all run differently, but there's so much that we can learn from each other, and sharing that knowledge is clearly going to benefit everyone. So having that opportunity is key.
We create our own standard in the built environment. Actually, 20 is owned by the trade association. If there's something wrong with the standard or the way in which we're engineering, we want to change filtration to being 3 monthly service, to being serviced when we actually see that the filter criteria means the filter has to be changed. We want to put digitisation in. The opportunity is there. You just need to get on the board and have a voice. And they're crying out for people nationally to use their specialism knowledge to get on board. It's quite interesting. So it's definitely been. I love the association, and they're so friendly, Alan. Excuse my French. We're the best bunch of people who want to help because they're all going through a similar thing. So it also doesn't have the trappings of networking when everyone's a little bit in it for themselves. It's not that type of culture and that type of behaviour. So it's really lovely.
Yeah, I love that. So, in terms of your journey and Linaker, fast approaching the 100 million turnover mark, and we're talking serious numbers. It's like, how do you keep motivated? And what would you say would be a guiding principle behind sustained momentum?
So consistency is exactly the right word. Resilience and consistency. So for me personally, I think I only run against myself. It's a race I'm having with myself, which is quite important. And I'm not even really sure what success looks like for me, Alan. That's quite sadistic, isn't it? So I'm not sure when what criteria applies to when I've made it, if that makes sense. And it certainly isn't yet. So that's the first thing. And that kind of buoyancy, I think, is what people find infectious, because I'm not looking. It isn't a number. It's not a date. It isn't a compliance number. It's not a number of clients that we have. For me, it's about what can we achieve as a business with our purpose? How happy can we make our people? How much great employment when I go to bed and the things that I feel good about are, on Christmas I sit there and go, do you know what? The business has helped 250 people buy Christmas presents for their kids this year. It makes me glee. It's like, we're on a debrief with a client last week, and we sent a 4-man team in to present to this client. We picked up this piece of work. You'll hear the announcement soon, actually, and it's a really great client. They're really great. And they called our team the Spice Girls, because they were like, it was so next level to have a maintenance company, a hard service specialist come in and present with 4 women. They said it was like, and they were knowledgeable and passionate. And I sat there and actually sort of turned my camera off for a minute because it gave me a teary eye. So I've swapped from personal gain to really sort of having a lot of glee in other people's performance and their ambitions and their passions. So for me, I will happily leave Linaker when there's no more of Claire left to give to Linaker, I think.
Well, there's no sign of that coming up.
No, there's no sign. And I think the team, unfortunately, the team below me are just as passionate as I am about getting it. We have clients say to us, when are we going to be finished mobilising? When we finished. When we've got everything on this tick list done, top to bottom, side to side, and you're telling us it's a 10 out of 10, that's when we're finished. And I think that's the difference. So it's we'll see how far we can get to before we run out of steam, or the team below me run out of steam. Maybe the answer is we get longer in the tooth in our journey. But I can't wait to see where we're going to go. I did not expect the last 8 years to look like this. I would not have said at my start of my journey this is where we'd be. I was not expecting that at all, and I'm really looking forward to being delighted and surprised by the next 7 years. Is all I can say.
I love that. Yeah, I love that, and it's inspiring, and and thought-provoking as well. And I love the whole, don't even know what the target is, don't even know what the success looks like. When we get to that number, well, if we got to that number, maybe that means we can get to this number. Or when we achieve that, maybe that means we could achieve that. And so I love that.
It makes my hair stand up on an edge.
Yeah, I'm the same right now.
It still makes me feel like, let's have it, let's go for it. And I still bounce out of bed most mornings at 5, and I'm still sitting typing on my laptop with a glass of wine at 12 o'clock at night, 7 years on, when people said, if you keep behaving like that, you'll burn yourself out. And I was like, but I'm loving it. It's just, I can't see that ending.
And you're right, it's infectious. It's like, it gets you, it literally gets you moving and gets you, wanting to do it. So yeah, I love that. It's fantastic. Yeah, I wish Linaker and the whole team all the very best. And it's a pleasure that we get to work with you to help you achieve what you're achieving.
No, thank you for being part of our journey, Alan. Thank you for supporting the business and taking part and getting involved and engaging with us and making that part of our culture sing, because you've really given the ability for Linaker to show that our passion and our purpose can turn into great facts and figures, and great meritocracy returns, great KPIs. So thank you very much for your engagement with us. It's been amazing.
Yeah, absolute pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Emission Possible. If today's episode sparked an idea or presented a challenge, please reach out and let us know. Subscribe, share, and stay tuned, because net zero is absolutely possible.